Hi everyone, I'm Nicola from Elimee Designs and welcome to episode 9 of our video blog. So it's been a little bit longer than I had anticipated in terms of recording this episode. I was going to do it on Monday. Unfortunately, one of my mini beasts came down with yet another winter illness, but we're here now, so let's crack on. So I have a few finished projects to show you, a couple more whips, and then lots of interesting things at the end, including what I suspect is my Secret Santa gift. So I thought I would open it with all of you to see what's in there. Now it did arrive about a week ago, so I feel really bad that my Secret Santa doesn't know that I've received it yet because I haven't been able to share it yet because I haven't opened it, but I'm sure it will be amazing. I have been completely spoiled over the last few years with the things that my Secret Santa has been making for me. Obviously I've had a different one every year, and I'm sure that this year will be no different. So to kick us off, I am going to show you some scarves. So those of you who've been following on social media or on my blog will have already seen these, so feel free to fast forward if you've already had a look. And these are the latest pattern from Elimee Designs, the Miticus Scarf. I hope I'm saying that right because it's a Greek word and I have no idea. So this is the first one. So this is the adult size that I made for my husband. So I bought this yarn a little while ago when I got that lovely purple Starcraft Highland heathers for myself to make the Cowl, Caitlin zigzag cowl even. And I picked this colour up thinking, okay, I'll make something for my husband, but had no idea what I was going to make for him. I put it into my Make 9 list for this year, and I have succeeded. So this is the Starcraft Highland heathers in the shade Grist, which I think is really nice. I don't know if you can see very easily, but one of the things that I like about the Highland Heathers range is that it's not completely monochrome. You get a few kind of tonal colours within the one colour. So I think that works absolutely amazingly. And as you can see, it's a filet design, so it's very beginner friendly. And it also comes in child size. So this one is made using Stylecraft Special DK in the colour Citron. Now, bit of a funny story about the launch of this pattern. So it came out as part of a blog hop and I was getting closer and closer to the launch and was like, oh, I don't have any photos yet. Well, any good photos to use for the launch. I was like, right, this is the last weekend before the launch. We must get some good photos. And of course, in typical British weather, it was peeing it down. So we didn't get out. I then was like, okay, bit scuppered. My husband usually does all of my photos. He's got no more days off between now and the launch. I'm gonna have to suck it up, be brave, and have a go at doing the photos myself. Now, not that my photos are completely terrible, but they're nowhere near as good as his. So stupidly, I didn't plan things as well as I should have, shall we say. So on a particular morning, I decided, right, this is it. This is the day I'm going to try and take the photos. I dropped the kids off at childcare. Happened to be the day that I zipped to work with the little baby just to introduce her to everybody, and thought on the way back, I'll nip to the woods, which is where I do a lot of my photos, get a quick picture, head home and bosh out all of the last bits for the pattern launch. Yeah, that's not quite what happened. So I get to the woods and I'm like, yeah, didn't think this through. We've had a few days of really wet weather. It's not raining right now, but the ground is really saturated and wet, and stupidly, as I said, terrible planning. I had not bought my hiking boots. I had not bought the baby carrier. I had a pram and some ballet pumps, and I should have just turned around and gone home right then, but I didn't. I was determined to get these photos. So there's me pushing the pram along through basically a quagmire of squelchy mud, finding it harder and harder to keep it moving and not get stuck. Nearly losing my shoes a couple of times because ballet pumps, you know, they don't have a lot of grip. They don't have a lot of grip on your foot either to stay on. Finally found a spot where I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm not going any further. Let's just take some photos. And I actually thought they looked okay. So managed to get all the way back to the car with lots of huffing and puffing and swearing inside my head, even though we were alone, and got home, looked at my photos and was so disappointed. by that point I couldn't go back out anywhere to take more photos because it was snowing. Turns out that those were going to be the 2 days of heavy snow that we were going to get in this part of the UK. So yeah, that was just not an option. So what did I do? Well, luckily for me, my husband came home during daylight hours. He nipped in the next day, which was the day before the pattern launch. So I'm less than 24 hours from releasing this pattern and I still don't have good photos. I will show you the terrible ones that I took. And literally he was like, right, give them to me. He flung one on, was like, here, take a picture. I put one on, he's like, I'll take a picture. And they were just so much better. I mean, I could, go, well, he had a model, he had somebody to put them on, but he just knows far better than me what he's doing with a camera. I will put up the photos if you haven't seen them that he took, or well, I took one, but under his direction. So I don't have any official photos that are half decent of the children's one yet, because they were at school when we did that very hasty photo shoot. But as soon as I manage to get one, I will share it with you. If you haven't already checked it out on the blog, there is a free version of the pattern. There is a premium version for those who want it as well, but you can get the pattern for free. So enjoy. The next thing that I'm finished and I'm going to share with you, let's make sure I get it the right way up, is a blanket square that I'm doing as part of a collaborative cowl. So the cowl comes out in April and this is my square. So those of you who know my designs so far know that I quite like zigzags. So I've got zigzags in my Caitlin zigzag blanket, I've got a Caitlin zigzag scarf and a Caitlin zigzag cowl. So I quite like zigzags. So I thought that for my square I would go with a zigzag because nobody else had picked that yet. And I don't know if you can tell, but this again is leftovers from my Sew Extra blanket. So the Scraptacular baskets were made with leftovers, and now my slalom square is what I've decided to call it. So as you can see, it's fairly simple in terms of construction, so it shouldn't be too difficult for anybody to make. You've got some regular stitches here and some front post stitches here. It will be available for free on my day as part of the cowl. There are going to be 20 squares that you can make as part of your blanket, and then the person who's running it is giving instructions in terms of assembly, so joining all the squares together and adding on the border at the end. But this is my first collaborative cowl that's being released, so I'm really excited to see how it does, what you guys think of it. Obviously let me know if you think that this is not your cup of tea, and obviously we'll try and do something different next time. I do have another collaborative cowl that I'm crocheting for at the moment where I've done a square, completely different kind of theme to this and completely different stitches and everything. But I wanted to see what the experience was like from my side, but also how you guys like it. So we shall see how this goes. So this is the Paint Box Simply DK yarn in shade Pale Lilac. I still have plenty of scraps left over from my Scraptacular blanket. As I mentioned last time, I didn't do too well at guesstimating how much yarn I would need. So yeah, who knows what I will make with the rest. Moving on, we have some works in progress. Now, I'm going to briefly mention the baby cardigan. Those of you who have been following my vlog will know that this project has been a long time in the making, and progress on it has slowed down somewhat because I'm convinced she's no longer going to fit it when it's finished, so I've been concentrating on other things. Last episode I was like, I must finish it before the next one, I must finish it before the next one. I didn't quite finish it. So I've got the first, let me see if I can hold it up the right way, the first few rows of the button band done. That's the very last stage of this cardigan, but I made a bit of a boo-boo, and there was lots of swearing involved, shall we say, and in the end I decided, you know what, it was literally like a tiny section of ribbing from about there that is wrong, but I was just like, just leave it. Like I've frogged it so many times, and it's not easy to frog knitting as I am learning compared to crochet. Let's just move on and get it done. But I've got about, I think it's like 3 rows into the button band, and the next stage I have to learn to cast off stitches in the middle of the rows to make buttonholes, and I've never done that before. I just need to get around to watching the video on how to do that, and then it's a couple more rows of ribbing, adding the buttons, and it's done. So I managed to finish putting all of the pieces together correctly this time, I managed to learn how to pick up stitches, which I've, again, never done before because I'm fairly new to knitting. This is what, my third ever knitted item. This is why I'm only doing one knitted project at a time, aside from the fact that this is supposed to be a crochet podcast, not a knitting one. But yeah, and as you can see, I mean, I'll show you a picture of the wee one, but I don't think this is going to fit her, or if it does still fit her, it's not going to fit her for very long. So no doubt it will get gifted to somebody else if I deem it worthy enough once I've finished, or it will go into the memory box of disasters but fond memories. My little one. So the next work in progress, get the right bag, is my Mother's Day gift. So I believe I mentioned in my episode just after Christmas that, much to my amazement, my mother requested a crocheted gift for Mother's Day. She saw one that I had made for my eldest daughter for Christmas and said, oh, can I have one of those? And then came the story of how she was supposed to get the original one, and then that didn't happen, and then I made one for my eldest, and now I'm making this one for her. So if you go onto my blog, the page for this pattern, it goes into the story in a bit more detail if you've missed it. So I am making her an Aphrodite cushion cover. Now, because she'd already seen the cushion, she knew what it was going to look like, and I said to her there and then on Christmas Day, I was like, here's my phone, here's where I'm going to get the yarn from, just pick out some colours. So these are her choice colours as well to match her decor. So I've got the boring bits, so the first panel and the, get that around, second panel for the back. This is the one that's got the hole for the buttons. So this cushion cover has button fastening rather than simply stitching the cushion pad inside, because I wanted it to be washable. Not that she's going to have lots of children making a mess all over her things like I do. And then this, I've got lots of balls of yarn attached to this at the moment because it's still in progress. Oh, let's see if I can hold it up without destroying it. Is as far as I have got with the front panel. So I've got the bottom of the heart, the bottom of the two swirls, and I just need to finish working that last bit of swirl, the top section, adding on the borders, joining it together, and then sewing on the buttons. Now, the bit that you may not know when I'm recording this, today is Thursday. Mother's Day is Sunday. And having a little baby, trying to do colour work is not the easiest. So this is the first, I think, probably the first colour work project that I have done since giving birth. So I've done things like stripes where you're only technically using one colour at a time. But when you're using lots of bobbins, you definitely need to be able to freely move both hands and be able to move the yarn across your lap, or at least that's how I stop myself getting tangled. And that's very difficult when you've got a baby on you. So unfortunately my little one has awful reflux, doesn't like to be put down because she just throws up, unsettles, wakes up. So she spends most of her time sleeping on me when she's asleep. And although I can crochet usually, because she'll kind of sit on this one and I'll hold this hand still and kind of crochet a bit like this to get a bit of a shoulder ache, but I can crochet. Trying to do this whilst holding a baby is much, much harder. Hence why the back panels were finished first. And I've been making this in the evenings whenever my husband has been able to hold her. So fingers crossed that I managed to finish that in time for Sunday. Let me just shove it all back in the bag. I need to finish making some cute whip bags because at the moment this is just held in a shopping bag. I do have a few cute whip bags, but none of them are quite big enough for that project. So the last whip that I'm going to show you is going to be a new pattern. It hasn't got a name yet, so I can't ruin that bit of the surprise for you yet, and I can't even ruin that much of the design because I haven't got very far. So this is the very first part. I don't think it's very clear yet that it's a colour changing yarn, and I'm using some of the yarn that I was gifted when I left my last job. So this is the Hayfield Spirit DK in shade 0412. I did consider making something different to what I have selected with this because the aim was to give it to my daughter, who's a huge fan of pink, and to be fair, she probably will still get this when it's finished. It just wasn't quite what I was thinking of when I spoke about this yarn last. Again, I'm doing this as part of my Make 9, so this yarn was on my grid, and I am pairing it with some white, just sort of as a contrast. I think they go quite well together. This is just a little bit of Stylecraft Special DK in white. My only concern I don't know what you think. Let me try and hold it up so that you can see. Is I'm not convinced that the yarn is quite the same thickness. I mean, it looks the same thickness when you hold it up, but when you actually work it, the hayfield kind of goes quite thin compared to the Stylecraft. So I'm hoping that doesn't cause me any problems, but we shall see. And I shall keep you posted on how I do with that. Now, the whip that I'm not showing you that I have made a good amount of progress on is my autumn blanket that I showed you a sneak peek of last time. So I did give you a very large hint as to what the main design was going to be. Not on the whole design, but the main motif, shall we say. So if you want to find out about that one, go watch the last episode. I have almost finished the large motif, and then the other section will come afterwards. I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want to completely spoil it. You did see some of it last time. But that won't come out until the autumn because it's an autumn themed item. But it means that unlike so extra blanket, some of my previous patterns, it will be released when it was intended to be released and not the year after because I forgot to finish the sample in time to get it to the testers. So let's move on to some fun stuff. So first things first, we totally have to open this, right? Let me see if I can, oh gosh, I don't want to destroy anything that's in there when I cut into it. Let's just try and cut it open carefully. Okay. Ooh. So there are some goodies first. So first I have got, oh, you can see that because it's a bit shiny, some Sanctuary Spa de-stress bath salts. Let's hope that the kids give me some time to have a nice soak in these. And is there a particular smell to them? It says sleep enhancing scent, so I imagine, see if it says on the back. No, it just says perfume. It doesn't say which perfume. I imagine because it's purple and it says sleep enhancing that it's going to be something lavender based, but I don't know. I shall let you know once I've had a go with them. Oh, somebody knows me very well. It's got me chocolate, and it's even, although it says dark side, and there's a decent amount of cocoa in it, it's milk chocolate, which is my favorite, and it's a type of chocolate I've never tried before, Montezuma's. So again, I will let you know how that tastes. Now the only difficulty, let me just double check the ingredients. Where's the ingredients list? There we go. Yeah, it contains milk, and I'm currently, oh gosh, excuse the sun, I'm currently milk free because little one, even though I'm breastfeeding, turns out to be sensitive to cow's milk. So it might have to wait a little while until I can eat this, but I will have stopped breastfeeding before the expiry date, so I will let you know how that tastes. Okay, now I imagine that this will be my handmade gift, and I've also got a card. Let's have a look. I'm terrible at remembering to put cards in my Secret Santa gifts, so they've already done better than me. It says, Nicola, congratulations on your baby. Hope things are going well and you are enjoying maternity leave. The dungarees, are size 74. Think this is for 9 months. Sorry about the odd snaps. My machine wouldn't do buttonholes that small. Love, Secret Santa. That's a cute little card. So this is a present for the wee baby. Let's get them out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use scissors again on this one. I don't want to damage them. It's very well packaged. Oh my gosh, these are cute. Look. Oh, aren't they adorable? Sorry, I'm not holding up the top section very well because it's kind of wanting to fold itself in half just because it's been in the bag. But look at those. Oh, gosh, excuse all the sunshine. They're a lovely yellow and grey fabric, and they've got little yellow poppers, and she's positioned them, I say she, most of the people in my craft group where this has come from are women. I don't actually know if there are any men in the group, but she's put multiple poppers along there so that I can adjust the length of the straps, so that is absolutely fabulous. They do look very large compared to her size at the moment, so she's almost 3 months old. So hopefully these will be perfect in time for the summer when we get the warmer weather. Okay, so a few more things that I wanted to hint at for what we're doing going forwards. So I've already mentioned, obviously there's a cowl coming up that I'm taking part in, and mentioned there's another cowl. I think that one comes out in June. That's completely different themed, completely different stitches that I'll be using, but that'll be coming up as well. I do have at least one more blog hop this year. I have been doing a few recently, giving away free patterns just as a way of saying thank you to all of you who have been supporting me so far. But I'm doing a few new things. So first, I'm doing my first book review. So a fellow designer, I'm not going to reveal, yeah, actually I don't think she'll mind me saying who she is. So Michelle Ferguson from Two Brothers Blankets has a book of crochet patterns coming out later this month that is targeted specifically at men. So the book contains garments for the top half, so a mixture of kind of jumpers, hoodies, jackets, hats and scarves. So as part of her kind of build up and launch, I've agreed to have a look. I'm going to make at least one of the patterns and give her a bit of a review. So I shall keep you posted on what I think about her patterns. And obviously you'll see the whip and the final item when I do make it. There's 2 items that my husband has requested, so hopefully I will have time to make both of them, although I doubt they'll both be finished before the launch because one of them is a garment, so it'll take me quite a while. Secondly, I have a series that is going to be coming out on the blog shortly about something that's going to be it's going to be a slow project. It's not going to be a quick crochet, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And lastly, if she gives me permission, I will put a picture up on the screen of what it will look like, although I will probably use slightly different colours. I'm planning to make some amigurumi for my daughters for Easter. Now, anybody who saw me make the Franken egg last year, which came out as a cowl from a different designer, so it's Deb from Hook and Nori, saw that I can do the crocheting assembly much harder. I had to get some help from my friend Hazel, but the overall Franken egg that I made, although it wasn't in traditional Frankenstein colours, wasn't actually too bad. So I'm going to make 2, one for each of my older girls, because let's face it, the babies are not going to care. 2 of her more Eastery themed one, which is oh gosh, what was it called? Hump Free, the rainbow egg. So it's called Hump Free, A, because it looks a bit like Humpty Dumpty, but B, because the pattern is free. At least if you buy it from, I think from Ravelry. I think on Etsy there's a small fee just because they don't allow free patterns. I can't remember if it's free on her website or not. I'll have to double check. But I'll leave all of the information in the show notes. You can access those down below. As I said, I'll whack a picture up if she allows me, along with a picture of the wee mini beasts when they are holding them in the next episode. Fingers crossed I can finish them on time. But otherwise, until the next episode, happy crocheting!